Good afternoon to you and welcome back to your sport. Now, as we mentioned earlier today, the PSL resumes this afternoon after a 4-month absence due to the coronavirus pandemic, of course. And as you can see, I'm prepared very much in my colours for the Nedbank Cup semi-final, and that kicks off this afternoon around 2 o'clock, which is shortly at the Orlando Stadium. To get an expert analysis on the return of the games, we're now joined from the sports desk, producer Sandile Mchunu. Now, Sandile, first of all, thank you for making the time to be here. I know you've got many other things to do. We saw the last match on the 15th of March, so that's roughly just over a week before lockdown was announced. That's quite a while ago. What can we expect both physically and mentally as we see these players returning at 2 o'clock?
Well, Nicole, it's almost 5 months to the day. So, I mean, to put matters into perspective. So you can imagine physically players will be exhausted when they return to action. Yes, maybe it might be a bit of a contradiction because a 4-month break, maybe someone will say, how can you be exhausted after over 4 months doing nothing? That's the main problem. Sitting down, doing nothing, kicking your heels at home, training at home individually during quarantine. It's not exactly the same as match fitness when you train or when you play in a football match. So they are going to be trained physically, but they are going to rely on mental strength. We had coaches like Peter Mosimane during the week speaking, as well as Kevin Hunt in the audio visual conference. So they mentioned that the players will be exhausted, the players will get injuries, and right now they are scrambling to assemble a side that is going to play this evening. So most teams will struggle in terms of the physique, and they are going to rely heavily on mental strength. So the last game was between TS Galaxy, as we can see, maybe we are going to see in our slide. They were playing against Bloemfontein Celtic. It was a Nedbank Cup game. They won on penalties, Celtic, and they are going to play the semi-final. As right now, as things stand, I think the game is about to kick off at 2 o'clock. The team sheets are out, but most teams are struggling with injuries. Sundowns, they don't have a lot of players. Tapero Morena was out injured, and Mauricio Afonso is back in Uruguay having problems coming back into the country. So it's problems after problems, and Elias Pelembe is not back with vets as well because of the restrictions in terms of flying in and out of the country. He's back home in Mozambique. Ricardo Goss is not available for vets. So it's not only injuries only, but it's suspensions as well. Castan Cirino is also suspended. So, I mean, coaches are dealing with a lot of issues at the moment before resumption.
A lot of challenges for them indeed, and as you've mentioned, it's a whole different ballgame when you haven't had the opportunity to be with the team and train as you usually would. Now, let's take a quick look at Kaizer Chiefs. Now, we know Kaizer Chiefs is 4 points ahead of my beloved Sundowns, of course. Can you just remind our viewers about the stage we're at in terms of title race and relegation battle?
Well, Nicole, I think if we move to that slide, yes, the Kaizer Chiefs slide, they are 4 points ahead of Mamelodi Sundowns. So the Nedbank Cup marks the return to action, as we have mentioned that already. But in terms of Kaizer Chiefs, yes, they are 4 points ahead of Sundowns. But we might recall that they have played a game more. So and then there are 8 games before the end of the season. They have 8 games remaining. Kaizer Chiefs, Sundowns have 9 games, and Bidvest Wits have 9 games as well. But the most crucial part, Sundowns are going to be facing Kaizer Chiefs in the return match. It will be an away game for Sundowns, but it doesn't matter because they are all based in Gauteng. Home and away doesn't really add much value when it's Sundowns and Chiefs. But for Chiefs, they are also going to be playing Bidvest Wits, not once but twice. I hear a lot of people saying Wits are out of it because they've been sold. I think they are playing for contracts. They are playing for next season to say, hey, I'm showcasing my skills. Please come and get me from Bidvest Wits. We had Kevin Hunt saying players are still meeting the new owners. They are going to be told whether they are part of the plans or not. If you are not part of the plans, if you haven't been signed by Sundowns, maybe like you are Ricardo Goss, who is on his way to Mamelodi Sundowns, we hear. If you are not Tulani Hlajwayo, who is a Bafana defender, who is in demand, then most players are still playing for contracts. So now it's not going to be easy. even tonight, Sundowns are not going to have a walk in the park against Bidvest Wits. So Kaizer Chiefs, they have three crucial games, Sundowns and 2 games against Bidvest Wits. Fortunately for them, they are not going to face Pirates. They've already dealt with that fixture. But they are going to face Polokwane City again, a team that is a hoodoo team as far as Kaizer Chiefs is concerned. So it's not going to be easy, but I think in terms of the relegation as well, AmaZulu, they are languishing in the playoff spot. Black Leopards, I think they have their work cut out if they are to survive relegation. Highlands Park, I think they will qualify for top 8. Owen Takama is doing a wonderful job in the Lions of the North.
No, he definitely is, and I think it's going to be exciting to watch. It's going to be nail-gripping stuff, I think, for everybody today. As you say, with all the changes happening at Bidvest Wits, they definitely are playing for their lives. Now, let's quickly take a look at our next slide. What we've seen happening in leagues abroad, Sandile, is they've implemented new rules as not to overexert players and not see players playing too many matches in too close of a time. Can we see that being replicated here with the PSL?
Well, for sure, because as you can see, this slide has a FIFA logo. It's FIFA rules because it's not only in South Africa, but as you have rightfully pointed out, that's even in Europe. So there will be water breaks. I think just past 20 minutes, they will have a water break in the first half and also in the second half. 9 substitutes on the bench instead of 7. We know traditionally a team has 18 players on the team sheet, including substitutes, which means they can have 7 players and make 3 substitutions, but this time around it will be 5 instead of 3 because they are trying to minimize player injuries and also the fatigue factor. And in terms of the cup games, again, there will be 1 extra substitute that a team can exercise during extra time. So there are only 3 intervals if you make substitutions. Yes, you can substitute 5 times, but you're not getting 5 intervals in terms of stoppages, in terms of making substitutions. But during extra time, you can also add the 4th one in terms of the breaks, the stoppages, to make another sub. It doesn't count if you make a substitute during half-time. It doesn't add as a stoppage. But stoppages, it's only 3 in a normal game during 90 minutes. When it's cup games, then you can add the 4th one.
Now, Sandile, we are running out of time, but we're going to take a look at this last slide quickly before I let you go very quickly. Gabadinho Mango, as we know, he is the top scorer. I'm going to ask you 2 questions in one. Do you think he can maintain that spot? Prediction, very quickly.
I think he can, and I must pay tribute to him because he's not an out-and-out striker. He is a winger by trade. He's an attacking midfielder, you could say that. But he has been playing right up front for Orlando Pirates, pinnacle of their attack, leading the attack. He has done very, very well. I'm a big fan of his, and I think he is going to take the golden boot. But Bradley Grobler, Peter Shalulile and Bongintuli, they will have a lot to say before the end of the season. And also Samir Nukovic is also in the running. So those are the players that are going to push him, but I think in the end he is going to take the Leslie Manyathela golden boot.
Sandile Mchunu, thank you so much.